Today I'm 100%ing Scooby-Doo Mystery Mayhem. We start off in the Cambridge library. We came here because Velma's old neighbor, Mr. Dinsdale, was put in charge of the library, but he needed our help with some ghoulish activity. We start off in the main room. The gang has split up and our job is finding the key to and searching the basement for clues. We sneak past the blue ghost and get our first clue. Each level has 5 of them and 5 sandwich ingredients. We can also talk to Velma to get descriptions for each of our clues. That, with time, will uncover an overarching mystery. After that, we make our way through some rooms in order to find the key for the annex. Another clue is also at our disposal, just up on a couple of boxes. No issues. The boys just boost each other up and there we have it. Now in the annex, we scurry to the other side of the bookshelves with Scooby, make room for Shaggy, and pick ourselves our third clue and first sandwich item. This level is pretty easy. It's a glorified tutorial, but I love the look of the library, so I'm not complaining. Next up is a cutscene of a not so supernatural looking ghost. We follow it into the basement, where, after dodging a couple more of the spectral beings and shadows, we also find our fourth clue lying out and about. Afterwards, some hallways lead us to a key for a hideout room. Inside there is a terrifying book lying on a pedestal in the middle. Whilst Shaggy takes a look at it, Scooby finds our last clue, a receipt. In almost every level, the last clue is automatically collected during a cutscene. So now we're done with those, and we only have the ingredients to focus on. That same cutscene reveals to us the book's abilities. It can suck up the supernatural foes. We run into Velma as she's lost her glasses, see little Velma, so we go around looking for them, not hard, they were just on the other side of the room. She spots our odd looking book and starts reading it, understanding its properties more and explaining the whole ordeal to us. It's called the Tome of Doom, and some pages related to different monsters are missing, but fortunately the one for ghosts is still intact. We also receive details about each clue from Velma, so I'll leave each one of them on screen for a couple of moments if you'd like to pause and read them. Now it's time to catch some ghosts. For one of the sandwich ingredients, we have to catch every single supernatural being inside this library, so we'd better not miss any. On the way back, we went to the same closet door that delivered us the hideout key earlier, because now it had a jar of mayo for us. A very fortuitous closet, if you ask me. In those same hallways, we found the page for those odd shadows, so I'll take care of them as well. Backtracking through the library, we found the pickle at the spot where the annex key had lain earlier. Our last two ghosts are in the main hall, and after catching those, the door to the beginning room opens, and a head of lettuce spawns in front of it. With that, all the collectibles are ours, and what remains is the final section. The gang spots that not so spectral being, so our job is to go for it in this little room in case it tracks back. Well, it did. We catch all the ghosts that apparently escaped our wrath, and with that, the boss's meter depletes and we catch it. It's revealed to be Walter Peabody, the assistant of Mr. Dinsdale. He was in charge of restoring books, so he made a fake Tome of Doom, which is the one displayed in the first room, as you can see, so he could steal the real one. Motive though remains unknown. Mr. Dinsdale lets us borrow the book to find the remaining pieces and put an end with this mystery shenanigan. As we drive off, there is a mysterious woman keeping tabs on us. Also, every sandwich completed grants a special minigame. The gang makes their way to a movie set to help two filmmaker brothers with their ghostly problems that, coincidentally, intertwine with our Tome of Doom problems. We make our way on the medieval set where the first clue resides on the other side of this tiny hole. After that, we catch a couple of ghosts, dodge some invisible fellas, and get the key to the backstage. There we get the town key, so we retrace our steps and go through another door to the town, where, once again, we catch a couple of spooky cooks. Following that up, we arrive at the castle section, where the key we need is unfortunately catapulted away. But no problem, we'll just boost the boys on top of these boxes, and we'll obtain the castle yard key. With it, we arrive at this section with levers. We need to put in the correct combination for the castle door to open, that being first and third down, second and fourth up. To the castle, we arrive at the moon set. There the boys must turn on the spaceship and make it in time for takeoff. We don't go far with it, just a small crash in this moon that's on set. Why is there a moon there if we are on the moon? That's a tiny bit silly. After that, we finally get our fourth food item as we use Scooby once again to crawl to a tiny space. That's our ham. Following that up, we make our way through a graveyard section, catching a couple of more ghosts, and we find our second clue on a climbable box. Not hard to miss. Afterwards, we arrive at some catacombs. There our second sandwich item resides, which is quite hidden as we need to boost ourselves up with the boys. But alas, we got our lettuce. Continuing downwards, a button opens up a hidden passage to a room under a coffin. In there, we find a ton of those poltergeist fellas, our third clue, and the Tome of Doom page for them. So we cleaned it up real nice. As we make our way out, a red knight scoops Scooby out of nowhere and runs away with him. We give him a chase with Shaggy and we see him enter another set. Velma and one of the two brothers catch up with us and we explain everything. It's now our job to save Scoobert. Inside is some sort of ancient set with mummies and all sorts. We find Scooby and Daphne locked up in cages, so we must find a way to get them out. This section is played solely with Shaggy, and it's probably my favorite section of the whole game. I just like it, I can't explain why, I just do. Shaggy finds us the third sandwich item, mustard, and our fourth clue. We found out that in order to get Scooby free, we have to lift his cage up. But in order to do that, we need to operate this crane. But certain parts are missing. So we make our way to the next set to look for them. It's a pirate ship, but before boarding it, we'll just have to make our way up this ladder where our fourth sandwich item resides. eggs. We then take the ship and climb up the main mast to the crow's nest. I had to look this up because I had no idea what they were called. And from that point we go into the scaffolding where a fuse awaits us. We then make our way to the next room, which is Egypt themed. A boulder starts off running, but hey, we find the gear lying on a pedestal. We take it and awaken a couple of mummies. But no worries, because as Shaggy runs off, we find the mummy page to the Tomb of Doom. So the mummies are taken care of. Before we head back to rescue Scooby, we have one more thing to get. In the room with the boulder, we climb up from where the massive rocks lead down and we find our last sandwich item, cheese. We rescue Scoobert and are chased in the cutscene by the Red Knight. It ends with him flying off and accidentally leaving his helmet behind, which provides our last clue. We clean up the room and reconnect with the rest of the gang as Freddy brews up a plan. The final boss fight sees us running away from the Red Knight, evading different objects as Freddy tries to open the castle gates, but fails twice. Well, third time's the charm, so we make our way inside, the Knight hot on our trail, and the cutscene commences showing him falling into Freddy's trap. He's unmasked as Robert Zabriskie, a guy who appeared briefly in the opening sequence. He wanted to scare the brothers off in order to purchase the property. He also works for Greenwood Development. You'll see that be quite the coincidence with our following culprits. And that's the second level with all the clues and sandwich items. Let's keep it moving. We start this level off with a cutscene of the spy lady talking to who I could only assume is her boss about their two lackeys that got arrested. That's enough for now, but we'll see more of them later. The gang is on its way to the Gold Mountain theme park because Zabriskie also wanted to buy the property, and coincidentally, it also reported monsters on the loose. The gameplay begins with a race to determine who's the most gluttonous between Shaggy and Scooby. I chose Shaggy and won with him, cause that's the most canon logic for me, given the following scene in which the boy falls through the floor right down to the basement after trying to get his hands on a randomly placed barbecue sauce. It felt like a setup, probably by this random lady that we encountered afterwards with Scooby. A new tiny minigame commences, this one's goal being to guess the correct door through which the random lady entered. After successfully finishing this, the lady disappears, but we can make our way into the basement, where a lantern guides us through the dark as we dodge ghosts. We find Shaggy, and before leaving, we climb up on these boxes to find the barbecue sauce that fell earlier as well. We escape the crowded basement on the front part of the saloon, where two clues can be quickly grabbed. The first is behind the counter, which becomes accessible after cutscene with a flying barrel, and the second one is on the upper floor that we access by going up the stairs from which the said barrel came down. Pretty easy. On the counter we can also spot a note for the piano in the corner. That's a puzzle that needs 3 different notes. We could find the others in different buildings, but that's not fun. Instead, I took the boys to the piano and patiently went through every combination. The answer was purple, orange, red. The piano spat at us the minecart key. We now make our way outside to the nicely assembled level. This one is probably rivaling the first level for the shortest duration, but I love it in its simplicity. The only walkable zone is this road where tornadoes attack us, and all we can do is enter the buildings around to search for clues. First we have to scurry under a fence and some barrels with Scooby to get our first sandwich item, hot peppers, and a liquid soap. We then go inside the prison where we find Fred locked up, and he tells us that the outer side of his cell is broken, but there are 2 minecarts blocking it off. So we go there, squirt some shampoo, which allows us to slide over the cart and free our boy Fred. He tells us that in the neighboring cell is another key, so we now need to find a way to get it, whilst the blondie goes off to find Daphne. Good luck, pal. Now we'll go inside this wagon placed on the street to get the second sandwich item that we missed earlier. Bacon. Following that up, I took the boys to the mine entry to get a saw, which we then used to cut off a part of the bars from the cell so that Scooby could scurry inside and get the vault key. Inside the bag, we cut a couple of poltergeists and then open the vault to get a shovel. There's also a save there, and even though I love the idea of trying to guess the correct combination, I would not want to spend 15 minutes of my life doing that, so we leave it off for later. Instead, let's go to the mine. We dug out the front with the shovel and inside a cutscene played, where the boys found carts full of food to feed their gluttonous urges, and the random woman from earlier appears behind the command center and pulls the lever to send the boys on the ride. We're now in the minecart minigame, probably the most fun one in the whole game. You need to dodge different fatalities by jumping, ducking, or leaning to either side. There's a clue hidden on the 5th stage of the minigame. You'll be able to tell when you pass a stage by seeing the camera fade to black. There you have to go straight for a couple of seconds until you reach 3 paths, and you keep going central. You then turn right and keep it going until you reach the point where you need to duck. Then quickly take a left and right. You keep going, and after that jump, you'll see the clue over there. And in order to take it, you need to lean to the left. If you take the clue but then fail and have to restart the stage, no worries, the clue will still be collected. We also need to get at least 125 of those gold nuggets in order to receive one of the sandwich items. I couldn't on my first try, but stay calm, you can replay this part as many times as you want, so we'll be going back to it in a bit. But first, after we finish this section, we say bye to the vending machine that would have given us the cheese in exchange for the gold nuggets and make our way out. We arrive behind the school. That's our 4th clue, not hidden at all. Right beside that barrel and inside the school, Scooby finds a wig, which happens to be our last clue. Also on the blackboard there is the combination to the safe. But first we have to get back to the mine. Even if you manage to collect 125 nuggets the first time, you still need to return here because the game spawns a ham here, and that would be our 4th sandwich item. I take the boys on one more round, and this time I managed to get the needed nuggets and collect the cheese. We're done with the collectibles. At the bank I input the combination 137, and the safe presented me with a Tomb of Doom page for Dust Devils. I guess that's the name for those tornadoes. How creative. We catch every one of those those bad boys and Velma comes out of hiding. We hear noises on the other side of that train, and as you'd expect, that's where our final boss fight would commence. But first, I decided to show Velma my clues so that all of you eager viewers could get descriptions. You're welcome. The boss fight features a huge dust devil sitting on top of a merry-go-round, spinning Daphne, Fred and the owner we met in the beginning. The monster keeps birthing out smaller dust devils for us to catch until there is nothing left but for it to face us, which once again will capture and put a stop to this madness. It's revealed to be the man's wife, I think. It's a random woman from earlier, and works for Greenwood Development. That's everything for this level, all clues, and the boys got their nutritious sandwich. Let's move on to our penultimate level. We've reached my favorite level. The gang goes to investigate an estate in the bayou after all the folk around ran away, with cases of zombies being reported. And Greenwood Development bought it. Lovely. We first jump on the box and collect the waterhouse key, then take care of the ghosts in the yard. Whilst at it, we grabbed our first clue and first sandwich item, a fish. Then we make our way through a pipe in the waterhouse and arrive at some sort of control center. We have to turn on the water, so we use Scooby with a new ability to snorkel to arrive at the switch, and just like that, the water was restored. Back in there, we solve a puzzle consisting of moving around different pipes so that the fountain would have enough power to boost us up to the mansion's balcony, where a hot cauldron full of gumbo was awaiting our gluttonous bastards. During that, cries of help from Daphne could be heard, so the boys go to check it out. It's the military, and they kidnapped Fred and Daphne. Scooby manages to get away when the military spots us, but Shaggy is not that lucky. He tripped, hit his head, and fell in the mud. So the army man mistook him for a zombie and herded him back with the other undead. It's now time for a pretty tedious section. Scooby meets with this hillbilly who gives us information on how to return to the military base. We go on this full-on snorkel level where we managed to find our second food item, a shrimp, after a log maze. Now we put the snorkel on pause as we head through this treetop mayhem full of guards shooting at us. Fortunately, it was not all for nothing as we found our second clue. Back to the water, the third clue was on a shore along the way, pretty hard to miss. We then finally make our way to the military base where we had to distract the guards for a bit as Billy Bob picked the lock for the cage where Shaggy resides. In this section we have to go towards the guards and then take a left, so we'll find our third sandwich item, a chicken. After that we'll just have to let the guards see us so they wouldn't interrupt Hillbilly whilst doing his picklocking shenanigans. It's pretty easy. But now we make our getaway on Billy Bob's motorbike, which means motorbike section, which proves to be a bit difficult. The minigame is pretty fun. It rivals minecart section. We have to dodge alligators, logs and land jumps. There are also a couple of collectibles here. After the second fade to black, you need to take the first left, then take this jump correctly in order to obtain the fourth clue. Then there will be another section after loading screen. You need to pass checkpoint and right after it make a jump. On the other side the hot peppers await, and that's our second to last food item. Another fade to black will ensue after a bit, and in that section there will be our last food item. You need to take the first left, then right down the platform when you spot the floating bottle of ketchup. Finishing up the motorbike minigame, we arrive at Billy Bob's cabin where he gives us our final clue and the Tomb of Doom page for zombies. Nice. Now all that remains is to beat the final boss fight, which is a horde of zombies terrorizing Fred and Daphne. But first, here are all the clue descriptions. After taking care of the small grunts, a large one appears, which proves to be a bit of a nuisance, but we get the job done anyway. Another level 100% completed, only one more to go. For this last level, the gang heads to Sherman Oaks, the company's headquarters. Fred and the girls go and try to find information from the chairman, which you already know from the cutscenes, whilst our job is to find clues around. We start off in the cafeteria and get this barbecue sauce from the vending machine. Afterwards, we sneak around in the hallways, grabbing our first clue right in front of the disguise box. This disguise is help us so you don't get spotted by the security and get escorted back to the cafeteria. Such, we make our way through these hallways, grabbing yet another clue, and we arrive at an elevator. We take it to a lower level of the lab, and in a cutscene, it's revealed to us that the villains took control of the gang. With Shaggy and Scooby, we progress from room to room, dodging these scientists with blasters and using robots to open certain doors. Not a lot of monster catching is going on, but at least we find collectibles. We climb up these boxes to find our second food item, eggs. Then in another room, we find our third clue on the servers, I think. This next part is interesting. We have to time getting down whilst in disguise, so we run into the scientist here, which will trigger a cutscene in which the boys trick him into giving them the key for the next room. It took me 2 or 3 tries, but I managed to get it right. In the next room we find the bad guys and the gang all mind controlled. They unleash Fred and the girls upon us, so we have to dodge their blasters whilst we hit all the buttons here to stop the mind controlling ray. Whilst at it, we also find our fourth clue here and our third food item, bacon, which is behind the protected gate. That will open up after we've hit all but one button. We managed to succeed and free the gang. The scientists also break free or something, and they are revealed to be special agents, led by Mr. Dinsdale. What? The lady manages to get away and uses one page of the Tomb of Doom to spawn these fire ghosts. Fortunately for us, the sprinkles trigger, and if the ghosts go through them, they are put out for a moment and become simple spectrals, which we can capture. We make our way back through the lab, catching ghosts and zombies, and almost all the remaining collectibles. The fifth clue, which is the only time in this game it's not obtainable through a cutscene. Here are all the descriptions for your lot. Then the fourth food item, a slab of meat. We end up outside the lab where the crazy lady spawns a massive fire ghost, which makes for our final boss fight. In order to beat it, we need to turn on all the sprinkles, which, even though they are are behind hedges, we can trick the ghosts into shooting fireballs at them and breaking up our path. Before turning all the sprinkles on, we need to catch 2 ghosts that spawn off the big one, so that we'll get our last food item, onions. We then proceed to engulf this big ghost in water, which weakens it and triggers the second phase of our fight, catching it. It takes a bit of time, but if you're good at dodging, it should be alright. And that's it. We have captured all the ghosts, the villains are down, the Tomb of Doom is restored, and we have all the collectibles. Scooby-Doo, as some would say. This has been everything. Have a great day guys, stay safe, bye.